Hello and welcome to Adventures in Theater History, where we bring you the best stories from the deep and fascinating history of theater in the city of Philadelphia. I'm your host, Peter Schmitz, and today I bring you my promised interview with the great Philadelphia actor Brian Anthony Wilson. Now, many of you may know Brian from his many movie roles, such as his part in Kevin Costner's 1997 post-apocalyptic film entitled The Postman, or more likely from his TV appearances, such as the famous series The Wire, in which he played Detective Vernon Holly. But here in Philly, we know him as being one of the most regular and hardest-working actors on the stage. I spoke with him in mid-December 2025. Brian Anthony Wilson, welcome to Adventures in Theater History.
Thank you, Sir Peter, as I call you, from when we did Man of La Mancha together. You are a gentleman, a scholar. I am thrilled to be here.
It is so wonderful to talk to you today. We'll talk later about that production of Man of La Mancha. But ever since I started coming to Philadelphia Theater or working Philadelphia Theater, it's always a special day when Brian's in the house. If you're not on the stage with me, it's always a great day when you're in the audience because you have a lovely, liquid, loud, and distinctive laugh. And if you're on stage and you hear that laugh, you go, oh, Brian's in the house.
Oh, jeez.
And everyone's so happy. It's like a blessing.
Not everyone, Peter, but thank you.
I think so. And
Actors
everyone I
usually
know.
are. But
to me, it's wonderful. There's several people that are just come to so many shows. Brian, you see almost every show that's produced in the city.
Well, I try.
And longtime listeners of this podcast will remember that your voice has already been on it. You played the 19th century Black newspaper editor, T. Thomas Fortune, for our episode, The Black Booth, back in season 1.
My goodness, yes. I'm sorry, Peter. I forgot about that one.
That's okay. All right. I just asked you to read a few lines from me, and you sent them back, and I edited them in, and they sounded great. So wonderful. This is your second appearance on our show. Brian, tell us about yourself. What is your origin story? How did you get your superpowers? Am I right that you were born and bred in Philadelphia?
Yep, born and bred in Mount Airy, Germantown section, right by Pleasant Playground. Two wonderful parents. My father is unfortunately deceased, but my mother is still with us, 85 years old. And yeah, I had an idyllic childhood, man. I really grew up wonderfully. My father had this beautiful tenor voice, and my mother has this wicked sense of humor, so I think they both influenced me. I know they both influenced me. Yeah.
Well, when you say your father had a tenor voice, where did he sing? How did you know that? Did he sing around the house, or was he singing in?
Oh, no. He sang with the Clayton White Singers. He sang with Opera Ebony, which my late grandmother on my mother's side, helped co-produce. Was a venue for Black artists to sing.
It was classical operatic music?
Yes. They did Porgy and Bess at the Academy of Music and a bunch of things, yeah. But I have recordings of his, and and it's so funny, Peter. I'll tell you a little quick story. When I was looking over the president's shoulder at Act Two Playhouse, the second time I did it, there's a section where my character Alonzo Fields sings Ave Maria in German, and I was having trouble with it. And my mother found this CD coincidentally of my father singing it in German, and it was like he was speaking to me from the grave, and it's like, Pop is still helping me, and it really cemented the performance.
That's so lovely.
Yeah.
Well, from an interview I've read with you that I found in the newspaper, it said, at least in this article, that you did not really do theater in school, despite this performance background in your family. Is that correct?
That is correct, Peter. I was actually, I think I was in a play before I saw a play. I mean, maybe I saw a student play, but I used to sing with a R&B band called Perfect Blend. And I was a co-lead singer, and I wanted to improve my vocal range. So I don't know how I heard about Freedom Theater, but I did. And I went down there. I was a vocal major. So as part of the vocal program, you had to take a movement and an acting class, which culminated in this showcase, which I did a monologue in. And I was like, wow, I like this acting thing. So the next semester, I went back as an acting major. I was 24 when I took my first class, and I went to Millersville, but I never graduated. I went there for 2.5 years as an art biology major.
Okay.
But theater never entered my mind. I don't know why, but when I went to Freedom for this vocal training, I got this acting bug, and I went back as an acting major the next little semester. And then I was in class for 2 weeks, and not because I was brilliant or anything, but they had fired two actors, and John Allen put me in this play on Flower Street, written by Millicent, the brilliant Millicent Sparks, and I was working with Johnny Hobbs, who was my mentor to this day,
That
on
was a
stage.
Christmas show, I see. It was sort of a
Yes,
Christmas show of
beautiful.
scenes and skits.
Yes, and it has all of these wonderful Christmas songs in it. I mean, it should be a classic, done everywhere. But Millicent was ahead of her time. Is ahead of her time. She's still writing, but I would love to do it again. I
Well,
played
tell us a little
Sleepy
bit more
Daily.
about John Allen, who is no longer hasn't been with us for a long time,
Yeah,
but a
that
legendary figure in Philly theater. When you first met him, were you aware of his reputation,
no,
stature?
no, I knew nothing of the man, but he called me, "Hey, Big Daddy." He called me Big Daddy. John was short in stature, but
And
large
you're
and
very, and you were a tall man. You were a
yes,
big
yeah.
guy.
Six, when I was really 6'3", but yeah, John was and I found out some stuff about John after the fact, that he said about me. Some people have told me that John said, he could do well in this business. He has versatility or something like to that effect, but he has a good type. He's a good type. So I never knew that until after John passed. But yeah, he was this powerhouse, and he threw me in this play, man. And once we got through rehearsals and I heard the audience applause and the reactions, I was hooked, man. I was like an addict. It was just like, oh, okay. And then my eyes opened, and just being engrossed in this artistic thing that I didn't know that I wanted or needed. And just being around all these people, these black artists who I wasn't aware of that. I really wasn't. But
Hmm.
yeah, it still is family, man. I mean, I'm so sad of what happened to the building, but they can never take away what's in our hearts, of course.
But you were working in a factory, was that right? You.
Yes, I used to work for Richardson Vicks. I was a factory worker. My father for 45 years as a mechanic, and he got all three of all of us, my two brothers and myself, into the place, and I started working there. We made NyQuil, Oil of Olay, Lavoris, all that stuff. And then Procter and Gamble came in and bought it out in the 90s, and then they closed the plant down. So I started as a factory worker, but they noticed something in me, so I got moved up to the mail room, and then to human resources, and then when they finally put me in as a merchandise accountant. This brilliant woman named Georgia Prentice, she taught me this, how to do accounting, merchandise accounting, and that's where I was when I left. And they actually offered me to go to corporate. I could have went to the corporate offices in Cincinnati, but I chose to take the buyout, and I was like, I've been doing this acting thing part time, so I was like, I'm going to try it full time. And when I left in May of 1996, my first professional job was Pennsylvania Shakespeare Festival. Right? I was in Othello and As You Like It as Amiens, the singer. And I was just a senator in Othello. I wasn't certainly not Othello then.
Right. Well, I can see that you were listed in other Freedom Theater shows. You did One Acre at a Time,
Yes.
Shelter, and
Yep.
you were at the Theater Center Philadelphia production of The Mayor's Wife. And
Yes.
mostly, I noticed you were playing heavies. You were playing the bad guys.
Yeah. I mean, I was a big, still a big dude, but kind of yeah. So you kind of get typecast, but Freedom they kept me kind of in a box. I think, there was only so much that they would let me do, which is cool, whatever. But Vaughn Dwight Morrison, this wonderful actor who was in Bushfire and Freedom, he brought me out to Bushfire, and Al Simpkins at Bushfire saw something in me, and he put me in these leading roles that I didn't know what the heck I was doing, but I found my way. He was kind of hands off. I asked him one time about something we were doing. He was like, I don't do blocking. So I was like, so I learned how to block myself. I learned how to supply my own props and costume. I mean, it was a great learning experience. And whatever I am as an actor, I attribute to Freedom, but also Al Simpkins of Bushfire Theater, who for giving
Yeah.
me
So
the
I see that
opportunity.
about 1990. Is that correct? You started
Yep.
working and studying at the Bushfire Theater, and this is in West Philadelphia, but it's in the old Locust Movie Theater on the corner of 54th and Locust
Oh my
Street.
God, it's such a great space, Peter. I don't
I've
know what
never been
Al's doing
inside it.
with it. Oh God, it's wonderful. It really is, and And I've recently worked with Theater and the X, who I really truly
Yeah, quite new
admire
there.
and
Yeah.
done it. But I don't know what Al's doing with the space. He's talking about doing some stuff
Well, it's a
this
place
coming
that,
year.
that obviously has a great sense of its own history because if you go there now, you can see there's the sidewalk and they've
Yes,
got handprints and footprints of eminent black theater artists, people like Leslie Lee, people like Lloyd Richards. There's a special plaque for Barack Obama in there. But
yeah,
some of the sidewalks a little, I don't know whoever did the cement work, but some of the cement is sort of deteriorating a little
yeah.
bit.
But
I,
I got to meet the legendary Ruby Dee there when they honored her, and also John Amos, who
Right,
was
right,
doing a
and
one
they're in
man
that
show.
sidewalk too. Yeah,
Yes,
but
yeah,
there
and
at the Bushfire, you did such roles as W.B. Du Bois in the play
yes,
called The Winter of Our Discontent.
yeah.
Well, tell us about what was the essence of the Bushfire experience. Why was it so important to you in your journey as an actor?
It was so important to me because he gave people chances. Like you might not know how to do lights, but he would bring you in and teach you how to do lights, or teach you how to do sound, or teach you how to stage manage. I was certainly raw. I didn't have a whole lot. I mean, I had some training for Freedom, but not a whole lot. But he saw something in me. And the first time I experienced August Wilson was through Bushfire. We did a trilogy of August's plays. We did Fences, Piano Lesson, and Joe Turner's Come and Gone. And I played Gabriel in Fences,
Mm-hmm.
this otherworldly character. I played Boy Willie, the lead, in Piano Lesson. And then I played Harold Loomis in Joe Turner's Come and Gone. And they were pivotal figures, and they just taught me so much. So we would rehearse during the day. And then once that show was up, we would perform it at night and rehearse the next. And then so once Fences was up, then we would rehearse a piano lesson during the day,
Mm-hmm.
and then perform Fences at night, and then we got to Joe Turner. We would perform piano lesson at night, and I was playing the how many lines Boy Willie has, and then we would perform the show in the evening. So it was I was immersed in Wilson, and it was glorious, Peter. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had.
You suddenly started getting a lot of film work, on camera work. Then, how were you
Well,
getting on camera work?
the heck if I know. I had, did you do you know who Ricardo Martin was?
No.
Oh my God, he was this brilliant man, musical director, and Ricardo organized a showcase for a bunch of Philly actors. It was like 15 of us for this New York agent, Bernard Liebhaber, in Philly. So we did this thing. We sang, we did scenes, we did monologues, whatever. And out of this showcase, this New York agent, legit New York agent, picked Jonathan Kesmew and myself to represent. So I went up, met with him, and he started representing me. And soon after, we got a call about this is how old this was, 1996 ish. Mike Lemon, God rest his soul, was still around.
Yeah,
And
Mike Lemmon was the local casting director that
yes,
did
Mike
most
Lemon he was the
commercial,
main guy.
on-screen, film things, anything that was being filmed in Philadelphia. Mike Lemmon was the guy whose office he would go to, and everyone would line up and audition there.
So anyway, this is how long ago it was. I went down there and they did me a favor. So I put these two scenes on tape. My character only had 6 lines, and it was so old. I mean, so long ago that I had to put it on VHS tape and FedEx it out to California. So I did this and got a call the next day from my agent saying the producers liked your tape. They want to fly you out to Tucson, Arizona, where they're filming, to meet with Kevin Costner. If he likes you, you'll be staying there for 10 days for rehearsal. If not, you'll be on the next plane back to Philly. So I was like, oh, okay. Yeah. So I read the script on the way out, and I go to this building. Costner's out actually. I mean, he was doing too much. He was casting extras. He was scouting locations. He wrote it, directed, produced it, starred in it. So I had to wait for him to arrive because he was on location. So I go into. They said you can wait in this room, and above the room it says 222. That was a room number, which is my birthday.
Oh,
So I was like, oh, that's a good omen. So he finally gets there, and I'm in a room with Kevin Costner by myself for like, I don't know, 13, 14 minutes, talking about my lack of film experience. I had zero. I didn't ever even taken a film acting class. I was just a theater actor. And we go through what the character kind of would be like. And he offers me the role right there in the room. There was a scene where we were in the rapids, and it was like class 4 rapids. And I'm like, dude, I'm like, but hey, I wasn't, and it was a scene where my character has to jump off this bridge, and I was like, okay, I guess I'll do it. It's like a 150-foot bridge that they built for $350,000, and they tore it down after the movie was finished. But luckily, I had a stunt double.
Good.
Yeah, but I thought I was gonna have to do it, and unfortunately, the movie flopped. But one of my ancestors made it happen. I'm sure, probably my
Well,
Uncle
but no,
Mike.
I think again, when you're on camera, you have a very distinct quality, Brian. You look so clear. As soon as you appear on the screen, I know you're a friend of mine, so of course I recognize you right away, but you have such clarity and such simplicity in even the smallest part that you do. So as soon as you appear on
Oh,
screen, and I think
wow!
filmmakers realize that. And I
Thank
know
you.
that people do because you started getting roles in a lot of TV series that were shooting either in the Washington, the Baltimore, or the Philadelphia area. You got a bit part in The Sopranos, is that right?
Yes, yeah, that was interesting because when I went in there, I mean, I saw like big name actors who were there to audition. I mean, people that I should not be in the room with. But anyway, so I went in there, and that was the most scared I've ever been. Before I went in, I forget who said it to me. One of the, just a moderator. He was like, "People have been playing this really big. Bring it down." So I was like, "Okay, duly noted." So I walk in this room, and there's like, I don't know, maybe 30, 35 people. It was packed, and I see David Chase in there. So I try to keep it simple, and I try to keep it low key. I mean, if you see if you've seen the little clip, yeah, it's pretty much close to what I did in the room. I try to keep it simple and just,
Well,
because
that's
Chris
part of
is,
what you do in your characters. You're a big, strong physical presence on screen, and then you have this very low and simple and direct way of speaking, and it just pops, Brian. In this
wow.
bit,
Well, thank you,
I
Peter.
can see that they realize that.
I've never heard that, but thank you.
Yeah, well, I can't believe I'm the first person to
Well, no,
mention that to you, Brian,
well,
but
no,
this is the
I
reason for
trust
your
your
success.
I trust your eye, Peter.
The most famous bit you get is in The Wire. You get a
Yes.
recurring role in The Wire, and this is a big deal. How did you get that bit? Was it because of the Sopranos thing?
Oh God, no, no, no. I'll tell you what. What happened was I got on Pat Moran's radar. She was the main well, the person down there. The main people were in New York. That's where
Right.
Idris Elba and all the other people were
Hmm.
discovered. What happened was I got a little part. Pat Moran brought me in for Homicide: Life on the Streets, so that got me on her radar. So they brought me in maybe three different times to read for The Wire. One of them was for the mayor, which Glenn Turman got. But I mean, I think they were just giving people sides for that. They weren't considering me for
Sure.
the mayor. But anyway, and the fourth one was Detective Holly, and David Simon was in the room, and a bunch of other people. I mean, it wasn't as big as the. It was tiny. It was smaller, maybe like 7 people. But then they called me back and said, "Hey, we want you to come back." And I was like, "Oh wow!" So then it became recurring. I ended up being in 19 episodes, and it probably would have been almost 30, but I had a lot of theater conflicts. I was not a series regular, so they would just call me 2 weeks ahead of time. Like I was in Indianapolis doing Intimate Apparel for Indiana Rep, and they said, "Hey, we need you." I'm like, "I agreed to this theater gig 4 months ago," and they were like, "Well, is there anything you can do?" So,
That's
uh,
often how film people are when they hear about
yeah,
theater complex. They're like, "Yeah, but it's just
they
a
don't
play.
care.
You don't want
Yeah,
to."
but you know what I did, Peter, and I did it on my own dime. I would leave Sunday night. I flew to Baltimore, shot Monday, and had to be back for a 7 p.m. matinee on Tuesday. And I did this on my because they didn't pay for the flight. I think they gave me a discount hotel, but I had to get myself to the place, fly there on my own dime, and then fly back. So I did that for 3 consecutive Mondays. I mean, a Sunday, Monday. I actually lost money on it, but I mean, I made it up with residuals or whatever because that was the biggest, and that was season 4. It ended up being the biggest story arc of my characters.
Not only are you doing all this on camera work, you're often working in regional theater. You did gigs in Kansas City and Indianapolis, and so you were getting called by major regional theater companies as well as continuing to
Well,
work in Philadelphia.
that was through my New York agent. Yeah, I did. Yeah, because I did like 3 shows out at Cleveland Playhouse, which I love. I did. I played Hambone in 2 Trains Running out there. I played Wilson in Harvey, and I also did 12 Angry Men with the legendary. Oh God, no, I can't think of his name.
John
John
Fiedler.
Fiedler.
Yeah.
Yes. And we became friends. We would exchange cards at Christmas and stuff. He was such a lovely man, and I would write him a note during the show, and because I was like his protector in the play. I played the same character that James Gandolfini did, juror number 6, I think.
John Fiedler was the original Mr. Lindner in Raisin in the Sun.
Yeah.
But back in Philly, your repertoire is branching out. You're doing the play Cobb at Act Two Playhouse.
Oh,
You were
the
doing
Greg Wood.
Shakespeare with
Yes.
Carmen Combs Philadelphia Shakespeare Theater. You're doing Dreamgirls with the Prince Music Theater, and you were doing. Now you say you were doing Othello.
Yeah, that's another thing because I'm not a Shakespearean actor. I mean, I took a Shakespeare and Company weekend class. That's about it. But Carmen saw something in me, and the first time I did it was well, it was because it was great. It was a great lead up to King Hedley because I played Othello for the first time with John Lumia, but he was wonderful. In 2002, and then
mhm,
2003 I played King Hedley II, and then she asked me back to do it in 2007. But yeah, so I didn't know what the heck I was doing, man. But I looked at it as a challenge. I was like, this is a great role. I'm an actor,
mhm.
so I'll figure it out. And Carmen was very generous and working with me and choosing me for that. And yeah, so that's how because I've done probably about 10, Shakespeare plays, including I did King Lear with the legendary Andre de Shields out in St. Louis, the St. Louis Shakespeare Theater. I actually went out to Nashville Shakespeare, but it was a branch of it. I did Jitney out there, another August Wilson piece, right
Right.
after
One of his
St.
earliest ones. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, man. So yeah, I've been very fortunate. But I'm not a Shakespearean actor, but I've done a few things, and I appreciate the
But
Lamprey
doing
giving me a
Othello,
shot.
that's sort of an aspirational role for a major African American actor. And there it was,
Yes,
yeah. What was
yeah.
it like embodying that character? That's one of the peak experiences for many actors in
It
your
was amazing, man. And you know what? Karen Peeks played my first
the great
Desdemona,
Karen
and
Peaks. Yes.
the brilliant Ian Merrill Peeks. I sought out his help because he's such a. I mean, he's one of the best actors I've ever worked with, and certainly one of the best Shakespearean actors. And he gave me some pointers, and he talked me through some stuff. So I really appreciated that from him.
Well,
I
by now,
think
maybe we should mention that in your personal life, you had become married to Greer Richardson, a professor
yes,
she's at LaSalle, is that right?
yes, she is trying to.
Okay, what is
Well,
her
she's in the
area
other
of
room.
expertise? What is she a professor
Oh
of?
my God, used to lead the education department. She teaches teachers how to teach. Yeah, so she's the head of the education department, and she's brilliant. I hear her often, and I've actually, when I played a couple of teachers, I've actually used some of her technique, as it were. But yeah, she's a superwoman, man. She's Wonder Woman. I'm dealing with some physical stuff. Have a pinched nerve in my back, and I need a new knee. And when the snow fell, I could not go out and shovel. I'm using a cane right now, and my superwoman wife went out and shoveled and did stuff, and she's amazing. So,
Well, you have your daughter as well.
oh my God, the love of my life. Yes, yes. I just took her to school today because she was out of school for 3 days with a nasty cold. She
Oh,
was doing a production of Dracula.
is she
And
is she acting
ensemble.
too? Have you
Well,
passed it
kind
on
of
to her?
ensemble stuff. No,
Okay.
she wants to go into nursing, I believe.
All right.
So,
Well,
because I'll
that's
try to talk
very
her out
smart
of
of
it.
her. But you're doing a different kind of role. If we're getting into the early 2000s, you're doing one man shows, you're doing really leading parts, you're doing looking over the president's shoulder. You mentioned that both at the Hedgerow and at the Active Playhouse. You
Yes,
did and you toured the White House to prepare for it.
Peter, to see everything that I was talking about
Hmm.
in the play and see these spaces and be in that room was just invaluable as an actor to actually have that to draw upon. So, but yeah, Connie Norwood directed me the first time, and David Bradley directed me the second time, and it kicked my butt, man. It was very daunting, and I'm an actor that likes to be with my castmates on stage and disappear, but you have to deal with I mean, the audience is the other character.
Okay.
That, and I did Thurgood at the Albany Theater Center, which almost, I mean, I was almost fired off of that because I was, the late great Walter Dallas directed me in that, and I was 3 weeks in, and I was really struggling, and Walter was like, either you can do the work that I know you can do, or I'm going to fire you, and I was like, oh, okay, and I heard that they reached out to somebody, but I finally got it together by rehearsing with this assistant director, Sabina, who is this brilliant young woman who's graduated from Princeton and is, I'm so proud of her. She was like 15 or 16 at the time, and she just was, and she was funny too. She would laugh in my face because I was always screwing lines up, and she,
Hmm.
was just, she was just a breath of fresh air, and she would meet me before and after rehearsals to go over lines. I mean, when it came together, it was glorious, but
Right.
it was the hardest thing I've ever done, and the most rewarding as well.
But you were working with Walter Dallas, another legendary Philadelphia theater person who had taken over the Freedom Theater for a while, but now was working independently. Tell us a little bit about him, because I wish I could have him on the show, but
Oh
he's
my
not with
God.
us anymore.
Walter, Walter, Walter. I did the piano lesson with him. I played Avery at the Arden. And that was cool because Avery was a smaller part. He was more focused, as he should be, on Boy Willie and all that stuff. But when I had this brilliant man's eyes just on, I was the only one in the room. And it was scary, man. It was really scary because Walter is very discerning. He saw everything and he saw what I wasn't doing, what I needed to be doing. I'd learned so much, but I mean, I got there and I wanted to reach out to him because he had passed away, unfortunately, to tell him about, because there was a group that saw the show and they wanted me to come back and do something like a limited version of it, like a one act version of it. It was a touring thing. I toured all around Maryland the next year by myself, and it was so fun. And I learned a lot about myself and about, just doing the show. And inevitably, when I was just doing it by myself without lights or sound or whatever, every time all these little Walterisms that he would throw in, like it was something simple, like when I talk about his wife, Buster, I just did a thing like what I cupped my breast or whatever, but it was just a
Mhm.
little moment, but it would always get a laugh, and it was all these little Walterisms that were thrown about in the play, that because he saw Thurgood in me, and when he said
Mhm.
it, I was like, oh, okay, to the point where we had a 2 p.m. matinee, and we had speakers a couple times, two guys who had clerked for him, and this one guy came down. He asked me, could he hug me? He said it was like he was alive again, and I cried. I mean, I was like, I can't get a bigger compliment than that. So, and I
That's
had I had
amazing.
my little wig on it. It was a wig from, I think, Lincoln Center, like a $2,000 wig. That's the first time I ever wore a wig. And, I would come out and these old ladies would be like, oh my God, he looks just like him. I have to send you a picture
Oh,
of
please.
uh, of
I would
that.
love
Yeah.
to see that. Yeah, because I can put that on the blog. But I also like to talk about a smaller show you did, but a really great show, the play Assassin, which is
Oh,
by a local playwright, David Robson.
David Robson,
And you starred with another actor, Dwayne Thomas,
Dwayne.
an act
Oh, I
two in
love
this in
Dwayne. Dwayne is a
2013.
Renaissance man.
But
Yeah.
this was a play about an ex NFL football player. It was based upon a real life character, who was,
Yes.
and it was about a famous incident where one NFL player had tackled another player so hard it had caused him permanent injury. Right?
Yep.
That was a famous.
Paralysis. Jack Tatum and Daryl Stingley. Yep.
Right. They call me Assassin. Wasn't that the name of the book he eventually wrote?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
yeah. So he changed the names and changed the circumstances to make it, sort of fictional, but it was really about that topic, the topic of violence, the topic about how black athletes are regarded in American sports, and about the legacy of
Gladiators. Yeah.
what you gladiators, what you did while you were in that arena, how you damaged your own body, how you damaged other people's bodies, the sort of warrior ethic behind the sort of internal code that the athletes carried with them and then hold on to the rest of their life. What was working on that play like for you?
Oh my God. It was rather cathartic, but Dwayne was just such a great person to work with. Such a wonderful presence, and I mean that show took its toll on my body too, though, because my character, he had an artificial leg, so I had to. I mean, and it's, I mean, funny, prophetic now that I'm having trouble with my left leg, and that's the leg that I use, walking, like I had a prosthetic on. It gave me groin trouble and all this stuff, and he's a very flawed character, an alcoholic, kind of an abuser. It was a little dark, man. I had to go somewhere that I didn't really like going. It was a challenge. It's kind of like I had to get a shower after the show every night, just to kind of wash that away. and I had to go places that I wasn't comfortable going, which is what we want to do as actors, you know. Yeah, and it was a co-pro. We actually did it with Interact and Act Two Playhouse. So, which I was like, really, Act Two Playhouse with all the little blue-haired ladies?
Yeah.
But they ate it up though, man. I was
They love their
surprised
theater
because
out there, man. They love their
yeah,
theater out there in the suburbs. They
and
are
I mean,
happy to see it.
he was cursing and drinking and
Yeah.
fight. I mean, we were rehearsing, Dwayne and I, in the basement of down Interact. We put a hole in that wall because there's one time where we it's a tackle,
Hmm.
and he put a freaking big ass hole in the wall down there. Probably still, I don't know if they ever fixed it, but
Well, tell me a little bit more. You seem to relate to it personally. You mentioned several times you're having issues with your legs and your knees, and you
yeah.
once told me that you think that that's a relic actually of your youth of having played basketball.
Oh my God,
You
yeah,
were an athlete in high school, and that
yeah.
stuff catches
High
up with you
school,
later in life.
college, yeah. But and my cousin, my late great cousin Chip, he'd always say I played with reckless abandon, man. I left it all out on the court, and yeah, I played on a lot of concrete courts, man. And I played basketball senior year in high school and my freshman year at Millersville. I was a street baller. I was just a walk on, but in college, we had to run 3 miles before we even got on the court. It was about conditioning then. It was like you got to be able to get up and down that court fast. I learned that lesson the hard way, and I got cut the next season because I came back and this coach was like, "Hey, you put on a little weight there, Wilson." I ended up being this statistician for this team that year. But yeah, I sacrificed my body when I was playing, man.
So
It was
yeah,
all or
how does it
nothing.
make you feel then when you come back to this part and you realize, oh, this body that I've been living in all my life, that was sort of bought and sold back when I was young in a certain way.
Yeah,
And now I'm feeling I have the after effects. I have the scars. I have the deteriorating joints. I
yeah,
have the
two,
psychological trauma. It can be very brutal. Like, yeah, you're on the bench this year. We don't, you look too heavy.
yeah, that's
And
it.
when you have to, as an actor, when you're bringing that to that part of this very dark character, were you amazed at how much of yourself you found inside that darkness?
Oh yeah, I mean, I played freshman and sophomore year of football. I mean, I was a big dude, and it did help. But yeah, I was a football player, but I didn't have that killer instinct. I ain't like hurting people and stuff like that either. I was a big dude. I mean,
Right.
I was probably 6'2" something there, and I remember one of my last games. I hit somebody in the end zone and recovered the fumble, and I scored a touchdown. So, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna buy you a hoagie or whatever." I was only 16, man. I saw this documentary about high school paraplegics, and it scared the f out of me, and I quit. I didn't go back. I didn't come back for the junior year, and the coach got pissed at me, and they kind of blackballed me from the basketball team because I was like, no, I'm done with this. I never liked playing in the cold anyway.
2014, you're back in that same theater. You're back at Act Two Playhouse out in Ambler, PA, and this time in a musical called, and let me check my notes here, Man of La Mancha. Who else was in that again?
Man of La Mancha. I
Uh,
recall a certain Don Quixote, Lord of La Mancha, named Peter Schmitz,
well,
who
that
was
was a
brilliant, brilliant,
well.
brilliant,
Thank you.
brilliant.
That was a great, a very important production for me. Not only because the first time I got a chance to work with you, who I'd admired for a long time, but I got a chance. Chris Galucci, who is sort of the co-creator of this podcast, was originally the sound designer, and then he sort of took a look at, and they were going to put the actors were going to play the instruments on stage. There was no orchestra, so
Right.
we were all having to play. People were picking up mandolins and guitars and things. There was no brass, so it had a
No.
completely different orchestration than the original show. But Chris said, no, what I need to do is I need to play the guitar on stage, and he's a classical guitarist. He works on it all the time. So he
Wow.
sat there on stage, an unspeaking part, but he just like one of the prisoners who had played this amazing flamenco guitar during the
Ah,
whole show. And you were playing the prisoner who turns into
Claves.
the
I was
governor.
called King of Claves.
Yes, right. Well, you had your claves, which you played with great enthusiasm.
Yeah, not much technical skill, but great enthusiasm.
But you were a great singer, and you got you. Well, I have this photograph of you knighting me and
Ah,
singing Don Quixote de la Mancha, right? So I
I
that was
hereby call you
there you
knight.
go, there you go. And so that was a wonderful production. We had a wonderful ensemble in that.
Peter, we were
Yeah,
robbed. You
What
should
do you
have won
mean?
Best Ensemble. You should have won Best Actor.
Well, I think I was up against
You
somebody
were
named Ben
brilliant, man.
Dibble. Yeah.
Every night, sir. You brought it.
Well,
I
I
mean, and our
enjoy doing that a
little
lot. That's a big show to do in such a tiny space, and we
yes.
using puppetry and all sorts of
I thought
different stage techniques. We
I
did it.
thought it was one of the best. That
Yeah,
little theater, we filled up that little space, man.
we did. Let's move on now to where we are now. Looking back, you were present during the growth and high period of a lot of the modern period of Philadelphia theater. And as you witnessed it over the course of the 80s, 90s, and 2000s, what do you remember most looking back? What was it like being part of that time in Philly theater?
You know, I think I don't know. I'm a little disappointed in some things, but happy in others. Like, and I see all of these younger artists that are taking the reins of and directing and have all these opportunities. Like when I was first starting out, it was freedom and bushfire for most black actors. There weren't a whole lot of people doing multicultural casting. I mean, Arden has, I think, always been at the forefront of that. And somewhat, people's like too, but I go out and see these people, these young folks, and especially people of color that are directing, like Brett. I just saw
Fred
The
Ashley Robinson.
Mountaintop, which was
Yeah.
was amazing, and Amina Robinson, who I really admire too, and just so happy for them that they are able to work on their craft and do their thing and just excel at this. And
And James Imes has
yeah,
been a
James Ives, oh my
phenomenon.
God, I'm just so proud of him. But he's done everything, and I'm just. But yeah, I mean, I've seen the evolution, and I'm happy that there are more opportunities, for a lot of different artists, and Arden is kind of like my theater home. I've done, I think, 14 shows there, and that's probably one of the few that I usually see everything in their season there.
But when you say it's like a theater home, what does that mean to you as a performer? Which, because unlike the Wilma, it doesn't have a resident company, but it does tend to use the many of the same actors over and over again. And like say, Akeem Davis will be used as who's doing the Mountaintop right now, right? Has been
Yes.
in many productions there, and Tasha
Yep.
Canales, his wife, works both there and at the Wilma. So there is a lot of conscious dedication to supporting the African American theater artists in the city at the Arden. Do you feel that
Yes.
when you work there?
Oh, certainly I do. My theater aesthetics, or if that's the correct word, more closely aligns with the art, and what they put on stage is what I want to see most of the time, and it's what I'm drawn to. My one little Barrymore I won for. As a matter of fact, the first I was nominated for Gabriel, which back in 1995. I think that was the first Barrymore.
At the Arden Theater?
Yes. Yeah. No. No. Gabriel was at Bushfire.
Oh, Bushfire. Okay.
Yeah, but I'm saying I was nominated for that. I didn't even know what the Barrymores were. And then the second time I was nominated was for Solly Two Kings and Gem of the Ocean,
Right.
which
Much
James
later.
Imes brilliantly directed at the Arden.
Right. I
And I
remember I
won
saw
that,
that.
which I really didn't think I was going to win, but
You were pretty brilliant, Brian. I
I
got to
was
tell
I
you.
was honored. Yeah, well, it's August's words. It
No, no,
touches
you
something
were
in your
filled with
soul.
that part. You had that big stick in your hand,
Oh
and you
man.
had that amazing costume. Your presence on stage, Brian, was just huge, enormous. I mean,
Oh,
that's a
well,
big
thank
space,
you.
and you were filling it. You were
Thank
just
you, sir. Thank
such,
you.
it
That
was
means a lot.
monumental performance, well deserved
Thank you, sir.
award for
Thank you.
that.
I'll take
But
that from you.
just this past summer, despite the fact that you had a little, you're still having issues with your legs, you
Yeah,
were working with Theater in the X, which is now really the
finally.
preeminent African American company in the city. They started
Yes.
working in Malcolm X Park in West Philadelphia, and Carlo, who and Walter and Lanish, who all run it, they've told
Yes, I
me
admire
that
all three of them
yeah,
greatly.
yeah, they've told me that the community formed them. They didn't form a company and bring it to the community. The community asked them to do
Wow.
something, and they felt like they are a creation of the community. And they do shows at other venues, but they every summer they try to do a production outdoors in Malcolm
Oh
X
yeah.
Park on a platform that's just put up either in the middle or on the edge. They're using, mics. They're using wireless mics. It's often a little slapdash, because the resources are limited and they're competing with real life things.
Oh my
There's
God, yeah.
ambulances going by. There's people
Well, it's
playing in the
like
park.
Shakespeare in Clark Park, which I've done several
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
shows at.
Right.
Yeah, I mean it's a lesson in concentration and community, but it's a beautiful thing. Peter, I was so overwhelmed by the things that they did, all the hard work they put in. They got to break down stuff every night, build all this stuff up. I mean, I'm there every summer. I usually see their productions two or
Right.
three times. But to be involved with them was just it was glorious, and it was a throwback to when I was with Freedom and
Yes,
Bushfire.
in
I
this
mean,
particular show, you were doing a play called Fraternity by Jeff
yes,
Stetson. And you
yes,
were taking on the role of the ironically named Senator Lincoln. Now, this is a play, for those who don't know it, which is set
Charles Lincoln.
in the American South in 1980s, and it's about a group of Black politicians and movers and shakers in this southern city who have some influence. And you're playing, again, the heavy. You're playing Senator Lincoln, and who is the power broker in the city and is unwilling to give up all the power that
Yeah,
he's accrued. He does not want to give something to the next generation. There's an enterprising young man who he regards with great suspicion, and he doesn't like being judged. So you did this as a young man at the bushfire. You were doing this in your 30s, right?
I was 30 years old, 1990, and I played Senator Charles Lincoln. I mean, it was some of the best writing I've ever encountered. And I also played Malcolm X in The Meeting that Jeff Stetson wrote at Bushfire years ago. So yeah, to revisit this, Peter, and to finally work with Theater and the X was a dream come true. You know, as a man of 65 now, who is they say he's mid 60s, so with all my aches and pains and more worldly knowledge, I certainly didn't know what I knew at 30 that I know at 65, and it just was a dream come true. I mean, it was just we were just hitting our stride, and then bam, we're done. Four shows and done, but being that community was just it was life affirming, life fulfilling.
Well, how did you
And
feel the audience was reacting to seeing the show? Because again, it's a show, literally, in the words of W.E.B. Du Bois, another character you played. It was by us, for us, and near us. It
yes,
had accomplished that famous trilogy. So you're in a community. The audience is mostly African American, and it's literally you're playing with people's houses surrounding this open
yes,
public park, so they can see you out their window. What
yeah, they
was
they ate it up, man. I mean, part the only thing was they just have access to us because I would be, I got off stage, I'm 65. I'm in my lines, man, and people will be walking by, hey, oh, hey, don't you know your script yet, man? I'm like, hey, how you doing? And people were just hollering at me. I'm like, I'm just trying to just get ready for my next scene, but nice to see you, but that's the beauty of it. You just you're accessible to the audience, and I had a bunch of people come up, behind stage, and it's just like, hey, I'm trying to work here, but I love you, but
Well,
but
that's what I've experienced with those shows is that it's people who don't have a culture of theater going. I mean, they certainly
no,
understand the idea of performance. They know what theater
yes,
is, but they don't have a habit of going to theatrical spaces and behaving in certain ways. So their reaction to is very direct.
oh yes, but as a black actor, I love that. I
Yeah,
mean,
that's what
you know,
I've learned from those times when I've done stuff that in a community of people who aren't really, they don't go to theater often and they don't
no,
always know they don't know to turn off their cell phones. They don't know not to talk. And in fact, they like talking. When I did a show at the Penumbra Theater in St. Paul, we were doing
oh
Raised in the
yes,
Sun, right? And I was doing Mr. Lindner. I was doing the John
wow,
Fiedler role, right? And when the audience, sometimes it'd be almost an all-white audience because that was their subscription house, but sometimes it'd be a school group and it'd be mostly all black. And then the other
right.
actors, I'm the only white guy backstage, and the other actors in the company turned to me and said, "Okay, Peter, get ready. It's going to be different today." And I said, "What? They're going to talk to you, Peter. Okay."
Yep.
And I'm like, "All right." And they would. If I would say, my character would say, we here at Clyburn Park, Neighborhood Association, don't feel that you would be particularly happy. And they would, man, get to stepping. When you, and you'd sort of have to acknowledge that and use that
That's right.
energy, go with it. And I think that's so much better than people policing, the authenticity of reaction of other people around you. That the energy that can build from that communication and that the direct address between the audience and the house where, as you mentioned, the audience is another character in the play, and you have to acknowledge that. I think that's so much better.
Oh my God, it reminds me of like bushfire. I call it trial by fire, but we did a bourbon at the border, a Pearl Cleage play, and the first time we ran the show with light, sound, everything was a 10 a.m. student matinee. So my character was named Tyrone. So I came out and did something, and then the kids just started singing. You better call on Tyrone. It was a show, a song that was popular then, and it's just like, but you had to deal with that. But
Yeah,
that was it. So it was a learning experience, but I
right.
loved it.
Well, it was wonderful to see you in that part. You were in fraternity. You were accompanied by many other
Oh,
impressive phalanx of Philadelphia
yes,
actors: Walter De Shields, Carlo Campbell, Stephen Crumb, Ozzie Jones, the great actor and
yes.
director, and Steve Wright. So
It
that
was
was
it
that
was
was
a
an amazing
labor of
experience.
love.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Brian, let's end on that note. That's a great place to leave it here. And I want to thank you so much for talking. It's wonderful seeing you at this time of year, especially. I don't see you as often in theater audiences as I used to for one reason or another. And it's why it's lovely to see your face here on this screen that we're talking over, at least. I hope to see you
Well,
again in person. But
well, thank you. It's
it
great seeing you too.
gives me a warm and happy feeling at a time of year when that's the kind of feeling I'm looking for. And I hope that
Oh,
my
good.
audience
Me
has
too.
been enjoying meeting and hearing from you just as much.
You're quite welcome. I just ordered your book, so I have to figure out a time where I can get you to sign it. So,
God bless you, Brian. You ordered the book. You
yes.
tell
Thank you for the
people
link.
tell
Yeah,
people to order the book, Brian, and
I
let's hear from
will.
you. Do a little spot for me right here, would you?
I certainly will. Please order Peter Schmitz's book. It's brilliant. He's brilliant, and he knows a lot, and he'll tell you a lot and share a lot with you.
Thank you. All right, Brian. I'll see you later, man.
All right, brother.
So that's our final show of the year. I want to thank Brian again, and I want to thank the great Christopher Mark Colucci, who wrote all the musical themes and transitions for this episode. And I was so glad to be able to pull out his guitar accompaniment to the Mitch Lee song Impossible Dream from the archives. It was lovely to hear it again. It's been quite a year in the outside world, as you no doubt know. And I want to thank all of you for listening and giving me something really different to do, something that I really cared about, just to keep this corner of the world tidy and warm and welcoming. I hope it has been as much of a respite for you as it has been for me. As always, there are links to our blog page about this episode in the episode notes, as well as links to our Patreon page. My email address is aithpodcast@gmail.com. Please write to me. Let me know how you're doing. What are your thoughts? I would love to hear from you about anything at all. Bless you and your families this holiday season, and I'll be back in January with another adventure in theater history, Philadelphia.